They say everyone has a book inside them. You've got the story and you've got the passion, but how do you turn that into a finished book without feeling stuck or overwhelmed? Let's take a look. Hey there, welcome to Fearless and Fabulous, a channel dedicated to women aged 50 and over who plan to make the rest of their life the best of their life. If part of that is writing and publishing your own book, you are in the right place. This is episode 3 of a 10-episode series on indie publishing. Now, I have published 10 nonfiction books, and I've also helped several people get their books published. So let's take a look at what that process looks like. So organization matters, and it doesn't mean you have to have everything planned out. In fact, we'll talk about different approaches to writing in just a moment. But you do need to have a process in place. Without it, you're going to feel frustrated, you're going to waste time, and you may want to just give up. It doesn't mean that you have to write every day at 5 a.m. There are 3 main parts to the writing process. There's planning, so what type of book you're writing and why. Producing, that's when you're doing the actual work. And then polishing, editing and refining your work. Here's a classic debate. Are you a pantser or are you a plotter? What type of writer are you? A pantser is someone who flies by the seat of their pants when they're writing. They don't necessarily need an outline. Whereas a plotter is someone who doesn't want to write a single word without an outline. And both are fine. In fact, most people fall down somewhere in the middle, which could be called a plantser. So plotters love their outlines. An example is J.K. Rowling, who, it is said, meticulously plotted the entire Harry Potter series before writing it. A pantser prefers to discover the story as they write. An example of this is Toni Morrison, who says she always knows the ending, and that's where she starts. And a plantser is a mix of both. They like a general direction, but they leave plenty of room for creativity and change. Elizabeth Gilbert would be a good example of this. She said she listens to the story as it unfolds, using part intuition and part planning. Whichever style is yours, just own it. There's no right or wrong. There is a comedy writer who wrote a series for British television, and the series was called One Foot in the Grave. If you've never seen it, it is hysterical. And the lead writer on that, when they ask how he came up with his ideas, because Victor Meldrew, who was the protagonist, he was the main character, all of the stories revolved around him, would always get into this absolutely ridiculous situations. And he said that's where he started. He would put Victor Meldrew in the most ridiculous situation possible and then write a story around how he got there. For instance, one story was he got his foot stuck in a deceased hedgehog in the yard. And so the whole episode was about poor Victor Meldrew and that poor hedgehog. As far as digital tools go, Scrivener is great for organizing chapters, research, and notes. Google Docs is something we're all pretty familiar with. That's great for real-time writing and collaboration. And then Trello or Notion are great for tracking your progress, and you can create cards and visual boards with them. And of course, Grammarly is a great editing assistant. Offline tools include things like journals, sticky notes, and index cards. And time management tools that can help you with your writing organization include a Pomodoro timer. This sets you up for 25-minute writing sprints. A Google Calendar, of course, to schedule your writing sessions, or you can use a paper planner for that. And then you can also dictate into your smartphone using the record feature. Let's talk about AI for a minute. Let's say you have a great idea for a story, but you just can't figure out how to organize it. You could go to ChatGPT or Claude, tell that tool your story idea, and ask for a tentative outline. Do not rely on AI to write your story for you. Some writers are doing that right now, and it lacks integrity. And it's your voice that your readers want to hear. It's not some bot's voice. Let's talk about accountability. If you feel like that's an issue for you, here's a couple of ideas. You may want to meet a friend and write in tandem at maybe a coffee shop or a library. I've done that before. We would we'd schedule a 1 hour where we would both sit and just write and drink coffee. And it was a very focused, very productive time. Another option is to join a writer's mastermind. Now, I'm a huge believer in masterminds, and I will post a link to a video I did on masterminds if you're not familiar with them. But speaking of focused, creative time, the mastermind weekly sessions were fantastic. They're not just for writing, but you could join one that's specifically for writing, or you could join a mastermind that exists and writing is your thing. You don't all have to be working on the same type of thing. At one point, our local library had a dedicated space for writers. It would allow, I think, only 2 people at a time to use it, and you had to apply and get approved in order to get on the calendar. I did that for a while, and it was fantastic because I really had to focus during those 2 hours because I knew that my time would be up eventually. And it was a great way to just really focus on my writing. Speaking of accountability, there used to be a group for 25 years until this year called NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, and it was always held in November. But as of 2025, I think March or April, they made this call, and it's due to financial reasons. NaNoWriMo is no mo. So unfortunately, that group is not there. Their whole thing was, you're supposed to write a novel in the month of November. And it was a challenge, obviously, for everyone. But speaking of focus, I mean, it really made you buckle down and focus. So since they left this big gap, several different outfits have come in to sort of fill that gap. And so here's a list of some options for you. AutoCrit Novel 90 is a free 90-day program, and it's designed to help writers complete a novel or a draft during that time. Their summer program is going on soon, and they will also be hosting the challenge in the fall of 2025. So if you need accountability, inspiration, and motivation, consider joining that. And June 7th through 20th is 𝗕𝗟𝗢𝗧. It's a writers' conference, kind of like Comic-Con, 𝗕𝗟𝗢𝗧. And if you're interested in going, I will post a discount. I'm not affiliated with it at all, but a discount that's being offered by Atticus, which is a book design software that I use. And I think you get $50 off on it. So I'll put that in the description as well. What about you? Do you have any great ways to organize your writing process? I'd love to hear about it. Please put it in the comments. Thank you for joining me. Stay fearless and fabulous, and I will see you next time.